If Taehyung doesn't exist, why does every official video show them being together? In many videos found on official sources, it's clear how Jungkook and Taehyung maintain a closeness that needs no forced explanations. These aren't fan-edited clips or personal interpretations. These are real scenes where the camera captures moments in which they, without anyone forcing them, decide to get closer. Over time, a clear pattern repeats itself. No matter how many people are present or what the context, Jungkook and Taehyung find a way to be close. This connection can't be attributed to something casual or accidental. Some jungkookers insist on denying any kind of strong bond between Taehyung and Jungkook. These people, instead of presenting real or new evidence, repeat the same arguments over and over again. They say the moments between Taehyung are edited, that there's no proof, that everything is exaggerated. However, what they can't explain is why so many of these moments are official footage that anyone can review. Some people simply aren't ready to accept what this closeness means. Perhaps because it breaks with their expectations or their previous theories. But denying what's documented doesn't change what's happening. Jungkook and Taehyung act freely. They're not pretending, nor are they following a script. What they show is something that comes naturally to them. And that, over time, has become impossible to hide. What happens with Taehyung doesn't depend on what others think. The images and recordings show a connection that needs no words. Time has made it clear that their relationship isn't part of a plan or an act. It's something that is repeated because it's real. And that, although it may make some people uncomfortable, is impossible to deny. How can you explain Jungkook taking photos of Taehyung while he was asleep if it wasn't out of true love? When Taehyung was fast asleep, Jungkook calmly approached to take a picture. He simply captured the moment with a calm smile, as if saving Taehyung's image on his phone was second nature, something he'd done many times before. When Jungkook showed him the photo, there was no confusion or annoyance. Just a shared smile, a reaction that speaks volumes without words. Not everyone approaches another sleeping person just to save a picture, and not everyone reacts with a smile when they find out. This isn't just about trust. It's about closeness, silent care, a routine that only those who are used to always being together, to knowing each other even in silence, have. In another different moment, in the episode Are You Sure?, the same pattern is repeated. Jungkook wakes up earlier, quietly takes out his phone, and takes another photo of Taehyung asleep. It wasn't an exception, it was a habit. Jungkook doesn't do it to show off or show it off to the world. He does it because he wants to keep it all to himself. And Taehyung, when he sees those photos, doesn't back away or get uncomfortable. He smiles. These gestures, so intimate, can't be explained with terms like camaraderie or teasing. That kind of behavior only appears when there's something deeper at work. These aren't just any photos. They're photographs with a purpose and an audience, showing affection, paying attention to the details, being attentive even when the other isn't awake. This kind of connection is constant in Taehyung. What some call coincidences, Taehyung users recognize as clear signs. Because to take photos while they're sleeping, you have to look with love. During a concert filled with lights and thousands of eyes watching them, Jungkook sang a line that seemed to come from the depths of his heart. Don't think about anything, don't say anything, not even a word, just give me a smile. What was striking wasn't just the lyrics or the way he sang them, but what happened right after. Taehyung didn't need to say anything, he just smiled. But it wasn't just any smile. It was a shy, sweet smile, almost as if he were responding to something only he understood. Those kinds of reactions can't be planned. There's no script that can make someone smile so sincerely if there's no special bond behind it. And that's exactly what happened. Jungkook didn't sing to the audience in that moment, nor to the fans. He sang for him. He showed it with his eyes, with the way he delivered that line without taking his eyes off Taehyung. And Taehyung understood. That's why he laughed the way the lyrics said, that's why he gave him that exact smile. It's not the first time something like this has happened. They don't need to talk or touch each other all the time. They understand each other's codes, read each other's gestures, and respond without having to explain themselves. The most powerful thing about that moment was precisely that, the way Taehyung reacted without saying a word, but expressing everything with his face. As if he already knew that phrase was for him. As if Jungkook had said it to him many times, but silently. Moments like this show how they communicate without words. What Jungkook said with that line wasn't just a simple verse. It was a signal. A direct, clear, and personal signal that only Taehyung could understand. That scene proves that there's a story that no one else experiences more than the two of them. And that's why Taehyung's reaction was so revealing. He didn't act as if he were surprised, but as if he recognized something that belongs to him. These denials aren't based on concrete facts. General phrases are used, such as that's fake or they only see it because they want to see it. But there are never any examples to prove the contrary. Simply stating that something is fake isn't enough to make it so. People defending Taekook don't just talk, they also show. They share snippets where you can clearly see them touching each other, looking for each other, or directly observing each other, even when no one else notices. When a person repeatedly appears next to another at public events, live recordings, and spontaneous broadcasts, it has a meaning that goes beyond simple habit. If it were two other members of the group, no one would be saying it's a montage. But since it's Taekook, baseless arguments arise to downplay what is seen. Saying everything is edited makes no sense, especially since the sources are visible to everyone. In interviews, presentations, and behind-the-scenes footage, the way they look at each other, hug each other, and constantly look for each other reveals a very specific type of relationship. The important thing here isn't just that they're together, but how they do it. Jungkook tends to approach Taehyung naturally, as if he knows exactly when to do so. Taehyung, for his part, doesn't back away or put up barriers. Rather, he responds directly, with gestures that speak louder than any words. All of this happens in front of the cameras. There's no need to invent theories or look for hidden signs. The evidence is there. That's why, when someone denies what thousands of people have seen repeatedly, they are ignoring a reality recorded at multiple times and under different contexts. Those who say Taehyung doesn't exist often base their words on personal beliefs, not facts. They accuse those who simply share official clips of manipulation. However, it's hard to deny the obvious. If in every video Taehyung and Jungkook get close, touch each other, laugh with each other, and seek contact, that has meaning. No one can fake that kind of connection so consistently and flawlessly. Much less in the presence of cameras recording every detail. When Taehyung sees the photo Jungkook took of him while he was sleeping, his reaction isn't neutral. He smiles immediately. That response isn't one of surprise or bewilderment. It's a reaction that only appears when he's used to it happening, when it's not the first time. And it wasn't. It had happened before. Jungkook repeats this gesture on different occasions, at different times in their lives. The pattern is clear: waking up, looking at Taehyung asleep, and keeping that moment just for himself. There are no poses. No official cameras. These are private moments, away from the stage, where neither of them is performing for anyone. Jungkook takes the time to take the photo quietly, with a slight smile on his lips, as if watching Taehyung sleep was a beautiful part of his day. And when Taehyung wakes up, there is no distance, no questions. There is acceptance. This way of reacting demonstrates an intimacy that goes far beyond what is visible. It shows a shared habit, a history lived more than once. The important thing is that these gestures don't happen just once. They're repeated. And when something repeats itself in the routine between two people, it's no longer a coincidence. It becomes a habit. The fact that Jungkook always chooses that moment, the moment of sleep, to capture an image speaks volumes about what Taehyung means to him. He doesn't need Taehyung to look at him or pose. His calm, his rest, his presence are enough for him. Taehyung fans have noticed that these things don't happen between just anyone. There's something special about these gestures that are repeated only between them. They're not strategies. They're not meant to be shown to an audience. They're things that happen when they're alone, when there are no official cameras or scripts to follow. Because no one takes photos of another person sleeping with that consistency, with that tranquility, and with that respect if there isn't a strong bond behind it. There are moments that seem brief, but they speak louder than 1,000 words. That little snippet of the song Jungkook chose to sing in the middle of the concert wasn't random. It wasn't a pointless improvisation. It was a choice. And that choice was marked by a name, Taehyung. What makes what Jungkook and Taehyung share special isn't just the story behind the scenes, but how that story appears without them even announcing it. For example, when Jungkook sang that line, Taehyung was the only one who reacted. There wasn't widespread applause, there wasn't a scream from the audience for that part. He was the one who responded, as if the song was written just for his ear. And that changes everything. Because if someone sings a line like, "Just give me a smile," and the person they're saying it to smiles shyly at that moment, it's not a coincidence. It can't be coincidental. Taehyung wasn't following a script. He didn't look at it because someone told him to. He did it because he knew. Because he understood. These kinds of moments prove there's a constant conversation between them that doesn't need sound. Their looks, gestures, shared silences. And most importantly, their reactions that emerge without anyone forcing them. If Jungkook didn't have that bond with Taehyung, he wouldn't risk dedicating that fragment to him in the middle of everything. But he did. And that shows trust. Plus, it wasn't exaggerated or staged. The way Taehyung laughed exactly as the lyrics said wasn't a performance of fan service. It came naturally. That's why it resonated so strongly with those who saw it. Because when gestures come out without thinking, it's because they're real. And that's the thing about them, what they have can't be edited, erased, or denied.